Whether you're a seasoned woodworker or a new woodworker or a DIYer, or you're just starting off figuring out things to do with wood, there's one thing we all have in common, and that is a ton of scrap pieces of wood that we hope someday we'll find the perfect use for. So today I'm taking some scrap 2x4s that have been stored nicely on a shelf, hoping that someday I'll get an idea of what to do. At the start of the video you saw a short clip of wall art, a geometric wall art. Actually, the full description is a 3D geometric wall art, all wall sculpture that I made using some leftover pieces of 4x4. So what I'm doing now is trying to get pairs of the scrap pieces of 2x4 based on the length of each of them. I'm trying to put together pairs of them that are about the same length. So after getting a bunch of pairs, I just got random numbers of pairs of the 2x4s together, and then I started gluing them together. I was using my go-to glue, which is thick, and I realized quickly that was going to take a longer time to put them together, so I grabbed another bottle of fast setting glue, and then I started gluing those together. By the way, welcome back, and welcome if this is your first time on this channel. Thank you for checking out this video today. I hope you'll find some value in it. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and share it with somebody else, and let me know in the comments. Thank you. As you will probably notice, I didn't bother cutting them down to the same lengths before gluing them together. That's something we'll get to, cutting them down to the lengths later on. I don't think it matters at this point. So once all the pieces have been glued together, the next step is to just clamp them together. I don't have a parallel clamp at the moment, but I'm just using a regular bar clamp to clamp them together. I used a number of bar clamps to clamp them together and left them for, I believe it was a day or two. I then went ahead and added a little bit more glue to each of the pairs just to add some more stability to them. Now with the glue dried up on all of them, it was time to cut the edges or the sides of them to make them straight. I tried a couple different methods to cut those. I started with a table saw, but then I quickly realized that lifting the blade up too high would be very dangerous, especially when I'm doing a number of cuts. So I gave it a try first with the table saw. I raised the blade up to the full height, as you would see me do there, and then I tried cutting. It was actually a lot of stress on the table saw to begin with, and then I tried using the bandsaw as well. So I wasn't particularly comfortable with the table saw. I'm more comfortable with the bandsaw because there's a lot more control over the blade on the bandsaw. This would have worked just fine. I just realized it would probably take me twice as much of the time to cut those edges off. I even tried a third option to get those sides to be flat. I mean, you could potentially just sand them down, but that's also going to take a long time. So I'm back on the table saw. I started cutting it with the full blade height again, and then I thought, you know, this will go a lot faster if I just reduce the blade to half the height, and that's what I ended up doing. I reduced the blade, I lowered the blade down to half the height of the boards there, and that went, you can see it's going pretty much faster than the full height of the blade. And I ended up doing all the pieces that way. And like I said, I tried one other option to get the sides to be flat, which you'll see me doing in just a moment here. So the third alternative was to use a planer to plane the other sides. This will be a good time to subscribe to this channel if you've not already done so. Thank you. So once I had both sides flattened, now it was time to start cutting them to the length or height that I would want them to be. As you can see there, I have a stop block that will allow me to cut the boards at the same height. You can be as creative as you can with the angles. I just went with 30-degree angles for each one of them, but you can be as creative as you want to. Just make sure you have one flat surface so that when you're laying them all down, you'll end up with a uniform layout. With all the pieces cut, it was time to start putting them together to come up with layouts that I like. I ended up with rectangles or pyramids. Well, they look like pyramids. They're just rectangles and some beveled edges of square, one side with the beveled edges. But as you can see, they closely mimic 4x4, but I think just using the two different pieces, you can see that some of the wood grain, they're different, which is what adds some more character to using a 2x4 as opposed to a 4x4 where the wood grain will all be in one pattern for each piece. But when you have two different pieces of the 2x4 like this, it allows you to get a lot more wood grain patterns, which makes it even unique. And I could see where you could potentially ask for more money for this, because it's, first of all, it's a lot more work than just using a regular 4x4 and having those contrasting end grains, you know, depending on the finish that you use, will add a lot more uniqueness to it. At this point, you can just use a natural wood stain to stain this, so you have the actual natural grain of the wood there. Well, I went ahead with 3 different color stains. Starting off with weathered oak, and then I used dark walnut on the outside, well, the left and right sides, and then on the 2 middle, top and bottom, I used, I believe it was special walnut. I can't remember what it was, but it's a contrasting color to add some more character to it. The next day, with the stain all dried, I just glued them together using the quick and thick wood glue, my go-to glue for these types of projects, and glued all the pieces together. I used a 1/4 inch plywood to hold all of it together. As you probably noticed, there's an overlap just to hide the 1/4 inch plywood when you hang it on the wall. An hour later, it was all dried. I can pick them up, and then I added triple glaze to it And you can see as I started applying the triple glaze, you can see the end grains popping out and bringing out the color. And here I'm just adding hardware to it so that it can be hung on the wall. Found a perfect spot to hang it on, and there you have it. And before I give you a closer look, let me show you what this is going for on Etsy, just to give you an idea of, you know, what you could potentially ask for. So their basic one, which is 18 inches by 3 foot, they're selling for $375. And they have it going up to like $2,000. So you could potentially make this and sell for a minimum of $100. Remember, you're using multiple end grains there, which makes it unique. So don't price it too low, but have fun with it. And until the next video, God bless you. Remember, you just need a little bit of faith and some DIY action. Okay, until the next video, check out this video that I have on the card above, and I'll see you on the next one.